how do you get to be the king? It ain't like that. See, the king, stay the king, all right? Everything stay who he is, except for the pawns. And if a pawn made it all the way down to the other dude's side, you get to be queen. And like I said, the queen ain't no bitch. She got all the moves.
All right, so if I make it to the other end, I win.
If you catch the other dude's king and trap it, then you win.
All right, but if I make it to the end, I'm top dog.
Nah, yo, it ain't like that. Look, the pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
Is that a picture of Marlo in the back? What the hell kind of bias is this?
That's no bias.
All right,
What's up, Andre?
All right, there we never mind.
Say, Jamie. Look, man, I don't know if I've been as excited about a junket in years, especially like not a Zoom junket. There's like 20 years of The Wire. I couldn't think of nothing. I started watching it for, I don't know how many times I've watched the series over and over, but I'm already on season 4 from starting it again, just like on last Friday. So it's like a whole nother binge of The Wire. So how do you guys feel about the fact that it wasn't recognized by the academies or anything back then, but now everybody agrees that it's considered like the top TV series in history? Like, I mean, do you feel like the Academy just wasn't ready? It was too thug-like for the Academy? Like, what? Why did this get overlooked?
I mean, I think, listen, it's a credit to the audience. You know, my first thing in my mind is that, you know, we were right, man. Like, we as artists, when we were in Baltimore, we felt like this was important. We felt like we were part of a program that was entertaining, inspiring, and educating people at the same time. And for it to be, you know, unnoticed or not seen as much, it didn't really faze us because our crew was watching it. Our neighborhoods was watching it. So we would like go back home and everybody was talking about the show. So when we looked on camera and saw that the Academy wasn't seeing it, we understood. Like, and listen, if you turn the channels and you see five black people on screen, you're like, that's not my story. I don't need to watch that. Like, we got it. We understood why you wasn't watching it, but we just had to wait. And we were looking at the shows and looking at HBO Climb and looking at just the audience starting to change with social media, with consciousness being, you know, it brought a lot of attention to what's going on in the world. And everybody was like, The Wire was talking about that. So it's, you know, we were right. We were validated, and we appreciate it.
Jamie, I know that you had already been working a while with like He Got Game and New York Undercover and some other projects before this. And you spoke about it before, saying that you don't feel like your scar had kept you off of these opportunities. I tend to think that The Wire with you, with your scar, with Michael K having $150, like, I feel like it recognized actors that wouldn't have usually got that shot and put you on shine. How do you feel about the casting process, the cast of characters that y'all brought together that's all doing great on TV or film today?
Well, shouts out to Alexa Fogel for bringing this together, and Pat Moran. I never got a chance to really work with Pat, but she's out of Baltimore, and the fact that they brought the cast together, but ultimately falling down to the producers and the execs, right? David, Simon, Ed Burns, Nina K. Noble, the whole team, right? When they sat back, they made the final decision. And what Dre is constantly talking about was the authenticity and their ability to actually sit down and look at the work and not allow a scar to get into the way of, or a lisp or a limp to get in the way of seeing true talent and ability to bring this character to life. And that's what it was for me, man. The casting process was fun. And it was me going in for Cuddy, me being told I was too young for Cuddy, and me giving the material of Avon. Avon was already cast clearly because this was season 3 that they were casting me for. And then reading that material and saying, oh, okay, I like this. A lot of times when you read material and it jumps off the page to you, it's like it was written for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And HBO was fire. You gotta remember, HBO was just getting its name too. HBO was not network. HBO, their whole slogan was, "It's not TV, it's HBO." Yeah. And they were rocking with Sopranos, Sex and the City, 60 and Under. So they were like, "Yo, we don't need names. Let's get us some young actors that can act. It ain't about the name game. It ain't about the familiarity. It's about the storytelling." But HBO is trying to come at it differently. So it was just a lightning in a bottle that everything just lined up perfectly.
And Andre, I hate to ask this one, man, but
don't do it. Then don't do it.
Not too though. Unfortunately, we all probably had, crackheads, addicts, people dealing with addiction in our family, but that was authentic. And how did you study that? Like how did you embody, how did you get to know that character to be able to portray it like that?
Well, I'll say this. I'll say, just like, we were talking earlier with this whole junction about the show. There's a woman by the name of Denise Francine Andrews, Denise Boy Fran. And one of the creators of The Wire, Ed Burns, did a show called The Corner that was based on her real life. So when I got to Baltimore, I met with Fran, and she took me to the underground, where I spoke to so many people dealing with different levels of the addiction. And because I was with her, they were able to just trust me, be vulnerable, share their experiences. And I just got to look at people and see these people with the addiction as humans, not the addict, but the purpose of who they are and why they were in the position they were in. And my job was, from then on forward, to play the humanity, not play the stereotype. And with David Simon and Ed Burns and all the other actors in Baltimore, we all looked at each other and held each other accountable to make sure we stayed away from the stereotype and play the person. So without Denise Fran Boyd, I wouldn't have been able to do Bubbles the justice that I did. But it was just a responsibility. You talk to another person and they share their story with you. It's your job to portray them with truth and respect. And that's what we all did with all our characters. Whether you judge them to be good or bad, didn't matter. We were gonna play them human and leave it up to the audience.
And Jamie, you're back on HBO. We're kind of like playing the flip side on. We own the city, playing a cop instead of the gangster. And I know that Wood is on Winning Time on HBO. So like staying in the HBO family, they continue to show you guys love. But how does it feel to be back on another series in Baltimore on HBO?
Oh, it feels great. One, being on HBO, they know how to treat their talent. And not saying that I'm treated less anywhere else, but I just love the way that they really focus on their talent. I remember we used to always go to the fights, man. Remember that, Drake?
I know. That was a moment. Fight nights, yeah.
There's one thing they would dedicate themselves to is making sure that the talent is being treated high level. In regards to going back to Baltimore, it felt good. It's like, when you go back to your old elementary school and step into the room and you're like, damn, I used to fit my desk. This is the room seems smaller, and you're an adult now back in your elementary school. Then you go to the principal's office and you're like, ooh, this changed. I look like I got money. Kind of felt like that in Baltimore as well, right? Harbor is built up. But then when you go into the inner city, you feel like, your people are being ignored. So that was the case in Baltimore, but at the same time, you get a chance to mingle with the folk and you're like, yeah, I'm back, having a great time, eating crab cakes and enjoying the people as well. So it was a good time. I enjoyed being back there and getting the work done.
Look, brothers, man, I enjoy, following you guys, and we're all connected on social media all these years. Like BLACKTREE has been supporting you guys from the beginning.
Long time, man. Thank you for that.
For the 25-year reunion, the 30-year reunion, and every reunion for every other new show and new movie y'all got going on. So, man, appreciate y'all, man.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamal.